Hello everyone, my name is Trainee, and I am a Senior Product Manager from Sangfor International Market Department. Today, I'm going to take you on a tour of Sangfor HCI Management Platform demonstration. As you can see here, this is the login interface of our management platform. You can access this platform using all mainstream browsers, including Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari, as well as Firefox. Currently, I'm using Chrome to access this platform. First, let's log in. The initial username and password are both admin and admin, so you have to change the password when you first log in this platform. I've already changed it, so there's no need to do that here. So first, let's go to Node. On the Node interface, you can see we have one node here, and you need to change the management IP of this node to the existing management IP segment. You can change it here. Typically, we will use ETH0 as the management interface. And here, you can change the IP to whatever your existing management network IP segment is. And then after you change it, you just click OK, and then change the IP address of your laptop. Then you can access the node again using the new IP. Okay, as you can see here, this is a node which hasn't been authorized with license yet. So let's go to System and give it a license. On the licensing page, you can see you can edit license key. And we have 3 categories of license. The first one is ASV and NAT. Those 2 licenses are for compute virtualization and network virtualization, and they're included in one license. And the second one is aSAN license. This is for the storage virtualization. As you know, we have aSAN, which is a shared storage pool that can virtualize all the disks across the servers in the cluster and create a big storage pool for the applications and VMs to use. You need to authorize a license to activate this function. And the third license is about the NFV, network functions virtualization. That includes all the security and network optimization features that you can use on HCI. Like here, we have NGAF. In the future, we will also have IAM, Internet Access Management, Application Delivery, as well as SSL VPN. Okay, so first, let's activate the license of aSAN. Copy the license and paste it here. And then click Activate. It takes a little time. It takes a little time for the system to be activated. Now, as you can see, ASV, ANAT, and aSAN are all licensed. Let's go back to nodes. Here we have only one node, and to use aSAN, you need to have at least 2 nodes in your cluster. So we need to add another node to the cluster. First, we need to set up a cluster IP. This IP is very important because if one node failed, if the controller node failed in the cluster, you need to access the node with the cluster IP. So let's create a cluster IP. It's in the same IP segment of the other nodes in the cluster. And you can also input a name for this cluster. Okay, As you can see here, we have a node which in the same IP segment of our master node. So we can click this node and then click Finish. This node 102 will be added to the cluster. Okay, there will be a warning. Now the 102 node is being added to the cluster. You can also monitor the process of the operations here. As you can see here, the added node now has already reached 78%. It takes some time for the cluster initialization. Okay, there is a prompt telling you that you need to configure an IP address pool for the overlay network interface. We will do that later. To use overlay network, you need to also enable MTU. To change the MTU to 1600 to improve the performance of overlay network. We will do that later. And after the node is added to the cluster, the next step will be storage initialization. Okay, you need to create a virtualized storage pool for the VMs to use. As you can see here, here is the window for the virtual storage initialization. Let's click Settings. Looking at here, we have 3 deployment modes for storage network. The first one, link aggregation disabled. This is not the one we recommend you to do. Okay. The second one, link aggregation with one switch. This is the most commonly used deployment mode in our storage network. For 2 nodes connection, typically you don't need another additional switch for the storage network connection. You can connect the storage ports directly using the IP cables. So when you use only 2 nodes in your cluster, link aggregation with 2 switches will be the one for you to deploy storage network. Okay, you can use network cables to directly connect the storage ports on these 2 nodes. But for the deployment mode, you choose link aggregation with 2 switches. This is exactly what we are doing now. We have 2 nodes in the demo cluster, and we connect the storage ports on the 2 nodes directly using network cables without the switch. But the deployment mode will be chosen with this one. And also, there will be a storage network interface IP configuration, and you can directly use the default IP that the system assigned for this storage network. So okay, let's click Finish, and the changes will be saved. Alright, after we finished the initialization of the network deployment, we go to the virtual storage initialization. Okay, as you all know that our storage is using this copy mechanism. We can use 2 copies or 3 copies in the storage system to ensure the data integrity. And typically we will use 2 copies to achieve a capacity cost capacity balance on the storage side. Let's click next. If you have additional disk that can be used as hot spell disk, you can take this off. Here we don't have any additional hot spell disk, so we'll not choose that. Okay, let's go to next step. Our storage is using SSD and HDD. SSD is playing a role as the cache disk, and HDD is as the data disk. So as cache disk, is to cache the read and write data to boost the performance of your read and write operations. Okay, and here you can see we have two nodes, and each node is equipped with one 240 GB SSD and two 2 TB SATA hard drives. And of course, the SSD will be used as cache disk. And the system of our platform can recognize the SSD and HDD and assign the default role to those disks. You don't have to do any manual work on this assignment. And then, as you can see, the system will give you an available space capacity based on the disks you have on the nodes. And the raw capacity is 7.71 terabytes. The available space is around 3 terabytes because we are using 2 copy on this system to make sure that your data will be protected even though one node failed or one disk failed. To initialize virtual storage, you need to also enter admin password, because the disks in the nodes will be formatted and all the data in the disks will be erased. So you need to pay heavy attention on this step. If you have any data on the disks, you'd better back them up before you erase them. You can also see the progress of this virtual storage initialization on the tasks. To make you understand more about the storage copy mechanism, here is a very intuitive illustration of what we have done on the storage copy mechanism. Okay, so we have a concept of replication group, and this group includes the disks on your nodes. Let's say here we have two nodes, okay, node 1 and node B, and they both have 3 disks. Let's say they have 3 SATA hard drives on them each, and all those disks will be connected with each other. Like disk A will be related to disk B, and they will be forming a replication group. All the data that are written to these disks will be copied to another disk which are related, okay, in the replication group. So all those disks, in the replication group, they should be in different nodes. Okay, so every write will be copied into 2 replicas and being written to 2 disks into 2 different nodes in the same replication group to ensure the data integrity, even though one node failed. As you can see here, the virtual storage has already been successfully initialized. And let's go back. You can see the storage here. Okay,